Thank you, Chairwoman DeGette. I know that this was a hearing that you've been wanting to do for a while, so I'm glad that it worked out today and we're able to get the manufacturers here. Obviously, we're continuing our oversight of this effort to develop and produce COVID-19 vaccines for the American people. And one of my top priorities this year is to ensure we have the tools and resources needed to crush the virus. I do believe it's a new day because unlike under Trump, under Biden now, we have a national plan and effort to coordinate and get vaccine and testing and contact tracing and supplies out to states. But we need to have the tools and resources for that national plan. And we're going to do that with the Reconciliation Act, which I think will be on the House floor this Thursday or Friday. But among the most powerful tools in this arsenal to crush the virus is obviously a safe and effective vaccine. That's why this committee is working tirelessly to find solutions for rapidly expanding the availability of COVID-19 vaccines across the country. The pain and devastation inflicted by this pandemic cannot be overstated as we mark the tragedy of 500,000 lives lost to COVID in the U.S. Nearly 10 million jobs have been lost and long-term unemployment is on the rise. Life expectancy in the United States fell for an entire year in the first half of 2020, a decline not seen since World War II, with communities of color suffering the largest declines. In order to achieve herd immunity, which is essential to ultimately defeating the virus, we must vaccinate the majority of the population, and that starts with securing widespread access to vaccines and ensuring reliable production lines are in place. Unfortunately, the initial vaccine rollout under the Trump administration was mired in confusion, poor planning, and limited supply. Thankfully, the Biden administration has taken decisive action to get the vaccine effort back on track. So just last week, President Biden announced that states will receive their largest weekly dose allocations, a 57% overall increase from when he took office. The administration also announced it was doubling the number of doses being sent directly to pharmacies and will begin sending vaccines directly to community health centers, actions that will facilitate broader access across the country. And thanks to these efforts, we're already seeing encouraging results. Before the disruptions caused by last week's winter storm, an average of 1.7 million vaccine doses were being administered per day, marking a nearly twofold increase over the past month. And this trend is promising, and many experts believe we need to be administering closer to 3 million doses per day to stay ahead of the virus. So I recognize the goal is challenging, but the stakes of our nationwide vaccination campaign could not be higher. A protracted rollout would only result in more Americans becoming infected and would also increase the likelihood that new variants will become dominant in the United States. And I noted in the subcommittee's last hearing, we're currently in a race to keep vaccines ahead of the new virus variants. And in order to win this race, we have to increase our vaccine supply as swiftly as possible. So today we're going to hear from 5 leading manufacturers of COVID-19. We must acknowledge there have been setbacks on vaccine production and supply. Congress needs to hear what steps each company is taking to rapidly expand vaccine production, what hurdles might stand in the way, and what additional help is needed to increase supply. Simply put, all options must be on the table. While increasing vaccine supply is essential, much more is needed to actually vaccinate hundreds of millions of Americans quickly and equitably. To that end, Democrats in Congress are moving swiftly to pass the American Rescue Plan, and this is the Biden proposal that commits the resources and support necessary to crush the virus. This legislation, which we dealt with last week and should be on the floor at the end of the week, would invest more than $20 billion to expand the federal government's ongoing work to aggressively ramp up vaccine distribution administration, including by establishing mobile vaccination units in underserved communities, expanding community vaccination centers, and facilitating clear communication with the public. And I'm also pleased that this committee passed its portions of this legislation without delay, and the full House, as I said, will vote later this week. And so we really look forward to getting a bill on the president's desk as soon as possible. And I just want to thank our witnesses for taking the time to be with us today. Your work is really vital, and this committee recognizes your extraordinary efforts. If we all work together, I'm confident that this historic vaccination campaign will succeed and we will crush COVID-19. So thank you again, Madam Chair, for putting this together today. I couldn't think of a more important reason to have a hearing with your subcommittee. Thank you. Thank you, Diana.